In a world teeming with magic, 4 continents, 20 nations, and diverse species coexist within Rondel. Despite an era marked by myths and swords, Rondel has entered the age of magic, a golden era marked by extensive magical development. Surprisingly, the political landscape remains rooted in feudalism, featuring kings and nobles and perpetuating class distinctions. On December 29, 1999, in the magical century, the will of Archmage Manuel Lucas was revealed, causing a seismic shift. The Archmage declared that he had hidden power, knowledge, and wealth somewhere in the world, inviting those who desired it to claim their fates. Manuel Lucas, a key figure ushering Rondel into the golden age of the magic century, was also an Archduke of the Bringup Empire, holding the prestigious title of the Ninth Circle Lord Wizard. Citizens from various backgrounds embarked on a quest to possess Lucas's legacy following his cryptic message. Rumors spread like wildfire about the location of Lucas's dungeon, some claiming it lay in the barren land of dragons or within the tax haven allied nations of Aelia. Whispers of Lucas's sky fortress in the Sea of Storms, the center of the world, also circulated. Regardless of nationality, species, or social rank, everyone sought Archduke Manuel Lucas's fate. Despite countless investigations, the mystery persisted for 2 decades. Then, one day, a man discovered he had acquired Manuel Lucas's fate, setting off a surge of excitement in the Magic Century's year 2007 at Lawrence Castle. The scene shifts to Lawrence Castle, where the butler asks Adrian Lawrence, the second son of Viscount Lawrence, if he plans to resume his studies. Adrian, reincarnated and possessing memories of his past life, expresses his intention to return the books himself, driven by a desire to find a specific book. The butler suggests someone else could handle it, but Adrian, driven by a sense of purpose, insists on doing it himself. Meet our protagonist, Adrian Lawrence, the second son of Viscount's family, reincarnated from Kim Mingi in South Korea to Adrian Lawrence in the Reinhardt Kingdom. Despite the confusion and distress of reincarnation, his past life's experiences become an advantage in this new world. Passionate about learning, he starts earlier than his peers, gaining recognition from teachers and fulfilling his father's expectations. However, despite his efforts, he realizes that his knowledge from Earth isn't as helpful as he thought, and he must continuously strive to increase his value. Life in Rondel isn't a smooth sail with effort alone. At the age of 7, someone attempts to poison him, leading to concerns about his well-being. He knows the culprit was obvious, and Anna Lawrence, the official wife of the Lawrence family, uncomfortably inquires about his health. Adrian, frustrated by the backward political system despite Rondel's advanced civilization, contemplates the challenges ahead. Life isn't easy, even for someone determined to navigate its complexities. Puzzled by his father's lack of reaction, Adrian wonders why his father is turning a blind eye, playing dumb when it's evident that Anna is the prime suspect. He realizes that his father is intentionally avoiding the issue. A decade later, in the magical century on May 1st, 2019, at the Pod convenience store, the 20-year-old Adrian, now seemingly detached from his past genius persona, explores the store. A store clerk wonders if he is a celebrity, and Adrian's affiliation with the Lawrence family surprises the man. Adrian, dressed like a commoner, quietly goes about his business, purchasing all the available online point cards. The clerk, aware of the consequences of losing noble favor, admonishes her coworker for his curiosity. Adrian's sporadic visits to the convenience store catch the attention of the staff, and it's noted that he seems particularly interested in games. Returning home, Adrian receives a call about his half-brother Cedric's visit. Sylvia Lawrence, Adrian's mother, expresses concern about Cedric's arrival. As Adrian hugs his mother and inquires about his brother, Cedric, furious, confronts Adrian for walking around the estate without a vehicle, emphasizing the family's prestige. Unfazed, Adrian considers Cedric's antics and refrains from engaging in a prolonged argument, merely acknowledging that he will be more cautious in the future. Cedric disparages Adrian's commoner mixed blood status, prompting Adrian to ask about the purpose of his visit. Cedric reveals that their father intends for Adrian to take over Farge Distribution, a business tied to the mining industry. Adrian, understanding his father's plans, politely refuses. Sylvia expresses concern, but Adrian reassures her, stating that avoiding involvement is the best course. Reflecting on the past, Adrian recalls the aftermath of the poisoning attempt, which led him to abandon the image of a genius. Minimizing interactions with vassals and distancing himself from the spotlight, He speculates that his father's indifference might be due to his status as the son of a concubine who wasn't a genius. Despite his father's detachment, Adrian manages to avoid life-threatening situations for the next 10 years. Upon graduating from the academy, he leaves the castle with his mother, aware that most of the servants were influenced by the official wife, Anna. In his own home, Adrian faced restrictions on speaking freely, enduring maids teasing about him being desperate and escaping reality. Undeterred, he entered his room, contemplating whether games served as his reality escape. Retrieving the game gadget from the table, he accessed Chronicle Online, marveling at the system showing Stage 1 of the Fate quest cleared. The system synchronized his character with his real-life body, and he proudly asserted that monitoring should extend into the virtual world. A decade earlier, during his time at the Royal Academy, Adrian had researched Archduke Manuel Lucas for an assignment. A surprising revelation surfaced when Lucas's family crest oddly resembled an English word, hinting at the possibility of English existing in that world. Diving deeper, he uncovered Lucas's expressed desire to walk the California beach with Mary, linking him to Earth. Compelled to investigate further, he traced Lucas's earthly roots, confirming that the great archmage of Rondel was an earthling like himself. Convinced of Lucas's earthly origin, Adrian excitedly acquired Lucas's legacy, believing a path of flowers awaited him. However, his euphoria was short-lived as an unexpected attack from behind introduced a new threat. The legacy was hidden in a virtual world, synchronizing with his real-life experiences. Fighting goblins became a painful struggle, challenging his ability to confront the newfound threat. The virtual world, designed to resemble reality, took an unexpected turn as the system informed Adrian that he had been moved to a secret space by the main god Ariel. Synchronization, however, frustrated him with delays. Upon reaching the second floor of the magic tower of Manuel Lucas, Adrian found himself in a library, starkly different from the first floor's emptiness. The bookshelves were filled with volumes, setting the stage for the next chapter in his unpredictable journey. The system revealed the creation of one circle, bestowing the mage job, emphasizing the true value of fate beyond money. Advised not to quit to avoid a hit on his synchronized body, Adrian realized the mana points in the game mirrored real-life mana circulation post-circle creation. Contemplating learning a technique, he considered the books as part of Lucas's will. The system's suggestion to look up materials made him appreciate the convenience, leading to a painful process of engraving principles into his head. Acquiring a circle concealment technique book, tailored to his needs, Adrian felt a dizzying headache, but embraced the progress. On the training hall floor the next day, Vice, a trusted friend and guard knight, noted Adrian's unexpected stamina. Adrian, aiming to enhance swordsmanship, admitted the exercise aimed at boosting in-game and real-life abilities. Sensing with his improved stats, he realized honing skills in the game had tangible real-world benefits. Vice, curious about Adrian's smile, learned of the valuable in-game item, prompting whispers from onlookers suspecting Adrian's gaming enthusiasm. Vice's defense of Adrian against the doubters only fueled the rumors about Vice's fanaticism. People questioned why Vice would go to such lengths for someone seemingly powerless. Despite Vice's genuine act of support, Adrian appreciated it. To remain inconspicuous, Adrian needed to appear insignificant to avoid the watchful eyes of Anna and Cedric. Being ignored as worthless was, for now, the best situation. Once in the game, Chronicle Online warmly greeted Adrian. Now that he confirmed his stats affected real-life abilities, he knew where to invest. Money, he recalled, was a crucial aspect of the game. The system loaded the store product list, and Adrian made strategic purchases. First, the experience increase, boosting experience acquisition by 30% for 24 hours. Then, the Goddess's Blessing, raising all stats by 30% for 24 hours. Lastly, Goddess's Protection, granting immunity from attacks once. He regretted not buying these items earlier, but reaching level 10 was a prerequisite. Adrian also decided to get a summon supporter, considering it a worthy investment despite the potential reduction in experience points due to aggro. Opting for the highest grade warrior tank, he spent 4,500 kits for 10 uses. The system presented random summon class supporters. Adrian, despite spending 30 million won, found no preferred supporters until he encountered Ara, the Heavenly Steel. She specialized in defense, wearing a protective shield called the Shield of God. Her appearance intrigued him, and at level 25, she was the best in the unique tier. Despite the confusion during registration, Adrian committed to ARA as his supporter. With ARA tanking golems, Adrian comfortably leveled up to 20. The system prompted him to check the technique and magic books he acquired. Pleased with the progress, even if it meant sacrificing some experience points, Adrian sat behind a tree, content with the support ARA provided. Out from her eco mode and said that he needed her help, to which she agreed immediately. Adrian, now aware of ARA's dual existence, marveled at the complexity of Manuel Lucas's creations. Outside the mansion, rumors about Adrian's unconventional activities spread. Maids caught glimpses of him with a woman, fueling the gossip mill. His mother, unfazed by societal expectations, questioned when he would get married, expressing openness to a commoner girlfriend. Meanwhile, Vice, shocked at Adrian's seemingly rapid transition to adulthood, grappled with the changes. Back in the game, Adrian's character reached level 30, unlocking the second stage of the Lucky Encounter quest. The quest required him to defeat the Orc Warrior Chaos, with a reward of unlocking Manuel Lucas's Magic Tower 3rd floor. Adrian, plotting to use the rumors as a cover for ARA, faced the challenge head-on. ARA, ever vigilant, explained that her real-life body switched to eco mode during the game connection. However, her monitoring function remained active for Adrian's protection. As they conversed, a monstrous growl echoed, signaling the arrival of the formidable Orc Warrior K. Glaring at them with 5,500 health points, the Orc presented a formidable adversary. The Orc addressed Adrian, calling him human, and proposed that getting rid of him could make Adrian special. The system's warning about item usage restrictions heightened the tension. Adrian, invoking Manuel Lucas's teachings, sought strength in the face of the Orc Warrior K, with ARA ready to shield and assist. The quest to defeat the Orc Warrior K had begun, promising unforeseen challenges and revelations in the magical realm. At the bridge, Reford mentioned the possibility of relocating Adrian and Sylvia to the King's Land if the battlefield situation went well. Viewing it as a reward for going in Cedric's place, Reford promised minimal interference in Adrian's affairs. Adrian, aware of Anna's watchful eyes, hesitated and said he needed to think about it. Reford acknowledged the lack of trust, and Adrian emphasized the need to come back alive to consider such decisions. Reford then handed Adrian artifacts, a 5th class auto shield and a 7th class great shield, useful in the battlefield where teleportation was prohibited. Adrian thanked Reford, who advised him to stay conscious to survive. As he left, Adrian noticed Cedric and Anna glaring at him. Reford, despite past disappointments, was the only one he could trust amid enemies. Alone in his room, Reford experienced a headache, but used pain mitigation magic to find relief. Regaining composure, he pondered Adrian's changed behavior since the poisoning incident. Meanwhile, in Adrian's mansion, Sylvia worriedly questioned Adrian about potential harm in battle. Adrian reassured her, stating that it was better to accumulate crimes against their name to eliminate enemies. With ARA guarding the door, he asked his mother to wait a little longer. 2 days later, on Lawrence Army's dispatch day, the staff, including Harmon, inquired about the mysterious lady. Adrian brushed off inquiries, asking them to consider her as his secretary. Harmon, knowing the gravity of bringing a lover to a possible battlefield, understood Adrian's stance. Adrian, preparing for survival, spent money on enchantments and cleared the 3rd level of a lucky encounter in the game. The rewards, elixirs, sat in his dimension pocket, a perfect preparation for the impending battle. Adrian, realizing the urgency, announced his retreat to his room for rest, shocking Harmon. As rumors circulated, Dalton, a vanguard, expressed concern about Adrian's competence as a commander and his decision to bring a girl to battle. Playing a game, Dalton addressed him and commented on ARA's appearance, describing her as pretty. A man named Dalton, visibly angered, warned him to watch his mouth. Billum, a vanguard and vice leader of the Knights, apologized for Dalton's behavior. Billum's cold look betrayed his words, indicating that he also harbored resentment. Despite this, he remained unfazed, accustomed to such responses. He ordered the team to send him a message upon arrival, and shortly after, he threw a bottle of Tears of Salamander at a monstrous creature, causing a massive explosion. This item, with a 3,000 true damage effect, seemed overpriced, but he welcomed its potency. The system popped up, indicating he reached level 80, and the main god Ariel transported him to the secret room for the 4th level quest. There, they faced the Demi-Lick Immerse with 32,000 health points. Despite considering Lick monsters difficult, Immerse's initial attacks caught him off guard. ARA's delayed response left him exposed, and he took a painful hit to the shoulder. Immerse laughed mockingly, claiming to hear bones crushing and flesh tearing. Annoyed and in pain, he forced himself to stand and retaliated, using heal magic to diminish Immerse's health points. Enchanting their equipment with holy attributes, they continued their assault. Immerse, puzzled by the physical damage from a staff, cast a firewall. Despite the challenge, he closed the distance and attacked Immerse, who expressed shock at his unexpected move. In the heat of battle, memories of Cedric surfaced, fueling his determination. After defeating Immerse, the system confirmed the completion of the Lucky Encounter Quest Level 4. Gasping in pain, Arai rushed to his side, providing an elixir to aid his recovery. Grateful, he realized Arai's uniqueness as she accessed his inventory independently. The system revealed he met the requirements to unlock Lucas's 5th floor of the tower. Transported to the 5th floor, he eagerly opened the chest, unveiling 500 billion loots and all-around glasses. Intrigued by the gift's potential uses, he discovered its analysis, observation, clairvoyance, and enhanced vision features. The next day at West Headquarters, the men discussed Adrian, unaware he could hear them. They dismissed Cedric and speculated that Adrian, having survived poison, might not be a fool. Viscount Evans and Viscount Miller introduced themselves, and Evans confirmed the troops' composition. Evans informed him that Lawrence's army had been organized as the 2nd Independent Brigade under the 3rd Division's command. A week later, inside the game, he contemplated the organizational changes while excitedly considering the benefits of Commander Otis leading the brigade. Meanwhile, Ara remained engrossed in her game. Hunting monsters behind him, he mused about the advantages of having an absent superior. Recalling the report about Commander Otis commuting until the war began, he wondered if it meant Otis left his army unattended during a potential conflict. Although Otis's actions seemed absurd, they afforded him the luxury of uninterrupted gameplay. While engrossed in checking his stats, Ara interrupted to report an unexpected visitor. Surprised, he swiftly logged out and donned his glasses, catching Ara restraining Dalton. With his glasses revealing Dalton's heightened state, he confronted him about the intrusion. Dalton feebly justified his concern for health but received a swift reprimand. Wondering why Dalton entered the Lord Deputy's room uninvited, he questioned if it was an assassination attempt. Dalton vehemently denied, accusing him of doubting the vanguard over a woman. Sensing danger, he grabbed a nearby knife, realizing the knights behind Dalton might be his allies. He declared Dalton's actions as a violation of military discipline and mutiny, holding the knife at Dalton's chest. Despite Dalton's defiant attitude, he maintained control, using the situation to his advantage. Outside, Bill received an urgent call about Adrian intending to execute Dalton. Frustrated by the perceived order, Bill rushed to the room, skillfully catching a blood-covered knife. Adrian questioned Bill about the delay, and Dalton explained his actions, expressing confusion over knights harassing a girl. Seeking Bill's opinion, Adrian's decision shocked Billum, who demanded an explanation from the knights. Adrian declared Dalton relieved of duty, collecting his armor and ordering imprisonment. The 3 knights who allowed Dalton were also sent to jail. Adrian then decided to move to another room for cleanliness. Later within the game, Adrian faced continuous enemy attacks, retaliating with Ara shielding him. Zenith, a corrupted knight, emerged as their opponent. The quest required defeating Zenith, unlocking the 6th floor of Manuel Lucas's tower. Zenith charged toward Adrian, who skillfully dodged and retaliated, ultimately defeating him. The system showed Adrian unlocking the 6th floor and acquiring substantial loots. Returning to reality, Adrian examined the artifacts obtained, realizing their significance in amplifying aura. A strange energy was sensed by a knight, but Adrian assured him it was related to artifact checks. The knight left, leaving Adrian to examine the equipment's unique features. 2 weeks later, reflecting on his role as the Lawrence family representative, Adrian led the army against the Krun Empire. The tension had eased, but apprehension lingered after the Dalton incident. Notably, Bill's attitude had turned friendly, which intrigued Adrian. Meanwhile, Ara exhibited an unusual status of happiness, leaving Adrian perplexed about her emotions and individuality. He believed Ara had likes and dislikes, seeing a beautiful view as leaves fluttered around them. Observing Ara's happiness, he chuckled silently. Upon reaching their base, he suggested more walks, agreed upon by Ara. However, a man named Lopez approached, offering a drink. Lopez's status revealed embarrassment and awkwardness. 2 knights behind him laughed, and Adrian suspected their involvement. He asked Lopez if the knights instructed him, walking away when Lopez apologized. Intrigued by Lopez's talent, Adrian suggested he could have been a successful wizard. Despite Lopez's confusion, Adrian realized the potential and contemplated recruiting him. In his room, he pondered the wasted talent but hesitated due to Earl Otis's influence. Contemplating bribing Otis, he believed it was a suitable choice to build influence. Adrian shared his busy schedule with ARA, while Lopez, recalling Adrian's advice, informed Commander Otis of his arrival. Inside Otis's room, Adrian sat, and Otis informed Lopez about serving Adrian as his lord, leaving Lopez bewildered. Reflecting on life paths, Adrian thought about the potential wasted in the room full of individuals on the wrong path. He saw untapped talents like Alan Lopez, Barbara Henderson, Eric Jones, Nicole Brown, and Linda Noah. Adrian encouraged Linda to doubt the testing equipment, recognizing her high mana and intelligence. Barbara, Eric, and others pledged to follow his orders. Adrian arranged a visit to a luxury clothing store, surprising his team. He assured them of tailored education and outside training, emphasizing equal salaries regardless of past status. The recruits pledged to exceed expectations, and Adrian urged them to avoid fussing or arguing. Adrian revealed a plan to create a residence filled with people he recruited, considering it an investment in quality human resources. Walking with ARA, Adrian contemplated a safe place for his mother when confronting Cedric. The idea of a safety jail crossed his mind, wondering if he should find one before returning to the unit. However, he noticed someone spying on him. ARA swiftly grabbed the spy, and Adrian cheerfully greeted him. A few days ago, he wasn't sure if people found out. Collecting what he called ordinary people, Cedric directly contacted him, revealing that he needed to mingle with people like him. Adrian suspected Cedric was watching his every move. When asked what was going on, Adrian questioned how the man found him there, seemingly teleporting from the royal palace without an escort. Grasping the knife from the man's waist, Adrian accused him of being Cedric's planted rat. ARA forcefully slammed the man to the ground, demanding answers. Despite increasing his aura, the man remained defiant until realizing ARA was not an ordinary woman. Fearing for his life, he confessed that he was Cedric's informant. Adrian learned that Cedric used a rat at the teleporting office to locate him. Adrian, pondering whether to lie, assured the man he already knew about Cedric's spying. Adrian perceived that the man reluctantly gathered information. Adrian considered the circumstances and decided to spare the man. He revealed he was only listening to Cedric's orders and not truly opposing him. The man, Barad, questioned if Adrian was ready to go against his master, but Adrian persuaded him to be on his side. Adrian extracted information and instructed Barad to provide daily updates without arousing suspicion. In Lord Lawrence's castle, Cedric questioned if Metz was in jail for spying. The reply was affirmative, detailing Metz causing problems in Adrian's room. Angered by the consequences of his father's orders, Cedric ordered Barad to keep a close eye on Adrian. Unbeknownst to them, Adrian overheard everything, ensuring Cedric's remaining spies faced punishment. Adrian resumed his activities, focusing on talent gathering. Eric and Alia, former administrator of Allies and a half-elf, managed the Gifted Academy. Excited about reaching level 159 in the game, Adrian aimed to become a 6th Circle Wizard. However, an emergency order disrupted his plans, prompting him to log out. Miller informed Adrian that the Kroon Empire's Sky Fortress had crossed the border. Gathering in the meeting room, Otis instructed them to move troops to the Leviathan train for dispatch. Otis emphasized the danger of teleporting due to spatial coordinate interference. Adrian acknowledged Otis's presence, relieved that the plan was in motion. Otis restricted personal communication between troops and issued a war readiness command. Adrian, understanding the gravity of the situation, stood in silence. Achieving level 160 and subjugating the named monster Tazid, Adrian reflected on the impending war. Entering the game, Adrian found himself at level 160. The system awarded him 10 trillion loot and a sub-supporter, a supersonic Black Eagle. Confused by the unexpected reward, Adrian logged out, speculating that reality might provide more accurate information. Outside, Adrian expected a big Black Eagle but found nothing. ARA noticed something in the sky, and a huge eagle descended. Knights panicked, but Adrian and ARA stood still as the eagle bowed respectfully. Adrian patted its head, pondering the conditions for acquiring extra skills. He concluded it might involve clearing quests. Suddenly aware of people gathering, Adrian extended his hand to the eagle, inviting it to go with him. Hugging the eagle gently, Adrian felt the knight's confusion. He cleared his throat, acknowledging the attention. The knights question why the eagle wasn't attacking, perplexed by the display of affection. Wondering why he indulges in cringeworthy acting, he contemplates the repercussions that may follow. The war breaks out, evolving from regional skirmishes to a full-scale conflict along the entire western border. His brigade makes its debut, and the communication network goes silent, leaving him unable to log into his game. A knight reports that the Krun Empire's vanguard platoon is approaching. Calmly, he instructs the knight not to panic, ordering a strategic retreat to reform formations. Bilam is tasked with leading the vanguards, to which the knight acknowledges. Amidst the chaos, he sips tea, reflecting on the game's effect on his perception of mortality after facing monsters. Harmon notices him, and he inquires about it. Harmon dismisses it as nothing, but upon returning his attention to the screen, he's shocked to see the enemy vanguards preparing to attack. Swiftly, he orders the deployment of energy shields by the 2nd Battalion, bracing for impact. The explosion from the enemy's attack rattles them, proving the threat's gravity. Realizing the energy shield failed, he regrets not providing magic equipment. Addressing Archduke Lucas, he acknowledges the setback but trusts in his game prowess, knowing he'd be a formidable force at the 9th Circle. Harmon credits him for averting disaster, attributing it to good luck. Examining the surveillance, he notes the enemy's fortress size discrepancy and 2 sky fortresses, suggesting mass production. As they observe, the system signals the enemy's weapon detachment in progress. Unexpectedly, the enemy's fortress collapses, confusing their allies. The realization strikes him, and urgently, he warns of an imminent suicide attack. An enemy fortress piece crashes onto theirs, causing a massive explosion. Though their fortress remains safe due to his timely use of artifacts, the shockwave leaves him feeling sick. Grateful for their sky fortress's retreat, he acknowledges the potential catastrophe if it had crashed. He orders a status check on the vanguards and care for the soldiers. Otis commends him, expressing gratitude for his vigilance. Otis attributes the day's victory to him, promising a decent reward. Thankful, he wonders about Earl Otis's surprisingly reasonable demeanor. Otis mentions strange rumors circulating about him, and when asked, Adrian confirms taming the mysterious giant eagle, finding its communication methods truly enigmatic. Otis happily acknowledged the fascinating aspect of the eagle, patting Adrian's shoulder. Another man chimed in, sharing knowledge about the black eagle, possibly belonging to a species called Alter from the holy city Everil. Adrian, feigning ignorance, secretly affirmed the information. The man boasted that once tamed, these eagles remained loyal, willing to risk their lives for their master's protection. Adrian marveled at the prospect, grateful that Archmage Lucas based it on a real-life species. Otis, jovial, equated the black eagle to a dog, coining the term dog eagle, eliciting laughter in the room. Seeking permission to use personal communication now that the enemy had retreated, Otis agreed, considering it Adrian's reward. Adrian expressed immense gratitude, eager to access Chronicles Online and level up. 2 weeks into the war, Bilam, in a suit, expressed doubts about the enemy revealing themselves while descending from the mountains. Adrian's order was clear: maintain distance and engage from afar. The army unanimously obeyed, signaling a significant change in their demeanor within just 2 weeks. The enemy eventually surrounded them, and Bilam recognized it as a trap. Adrian ordered a strategic retreat, appreciating their vigilance against his warning, averting total annihilation. Observing his comrades struggle against the outnumbered enemy, Adrian felt fortunate to avoid complete devastation. Waiting for reinforcements, he acknowledged the dire situation. Suddenly, Adrian suggested pushing forward. A loud explosion ensued, and a report confirmed the arrival of 10 vanguards under Earl Otis's command, surprising everyone, including Bilam. Adrian questioned why they weren't attacking and teased Otis about going for a walk. Adrian revealed the enemy's vulnerable position, and reinforcements were strategically deployed. In the meeting room, the men praised Adrian's prowess, acknowledging his ability to turn crises into opportunities. Otis, contemplating Adrian's potential, asked about Adrian's age in comparison to Michelle. Otis expressed interest in bringing Adrian into the family, shocking those in the room. Despite concerns, Otis insisted on focusing on Adrian's contributions and instructed them to send a performance report to the Corps Command, emphasizing Adrian's excellence. Later, Bam approached Adrian, questioning why he hides his strength. Bam expressed concern about Cedric's potential lordship and offered his support to Adrian. Adrian, perceptive of Bilam's change in demeanor, wondered if it was due to prior instruction or genuine gratitude. Thankful but cautious, he brushed off Bam's offer, leaving Bam stunned. Realizing the potential repercussions of his rash remarks, he acknowledged the need for caution. With Cedric and Anna as targets, he understood the importance of discretion due to potential unknown surveillance systems. His duty was to eliminate the threats without sharing the joy with others. Reflecting on Billem's genuine concern for the territory's well-being, he acknowledged that some were purely motivated by noble intentions. The anticipation of receiving a medal for his contributions left him contemplating its significance. The next day, the announcement came that he would be bestowed with a second-class Golden Lion Medal. The crowd's cheers emphasized the prestige associated with every piece of Vanguard equipment. Meanwhile, in the Lawrence family mansion, Cedric's frustration erupted. Envious of Adrian's acclaim, he sought answers from Anna about his father's actions. Anna, frustrated herself, revealed Rafford's increasing closeness to another woman, further infuriating Cedric. Concerned about Adrian severing ties with the family, Anna confirmed it, emphasizing the need for Adrian to secure a future independently. In the midst of Adrian's public recognition, Cedric's resentment grew. Hearing people praise Adrian as a prodigy, he recalled past attempts to harm Adrian and lamented his own frustrations. Angrily shouting Adrian's name, he contrasted his struggles with Adrian's seemingly charmed life. As the war progressed into the 7th week, Adrian, still relishing the energy drink's effects, noticed the liveliness of his brigade. Billem suggested scouting, and Adrian advised caution. However, news of the division commander's summons disrupted his plans. Before leaving, he sent the Black Eagle away with a purpose, hinting at a growing familiarity with Otis's frequent summonings. Meeting with other unit commanders, Adrian observed the unusual gathering. Otis, appearing, announced the impending declaration of the war's end. The revelation surprised and relieved those present. Otis explained the political motives behind the limited conflict, indicating the Krone Empire's intention to strengthen imperial power. Concerns arose about the Vanguard's continued involvement, but Otis reassured them, emphasizing the spoils of war, including Adrian's Golden Lion Medal. Otis encouraged them to savor the moment and look forward to their future rewards. Adrian smiled, contemplating his next steps after the war. The next day, Bam discussed the fortunate turn of events. Adrian, silent, handed a cookie to Billem and shared a moment with ARA. Billem, acknowledging the Count's generosity, marveled at Adrian's difference from other nobles and admired his commitment to his soldiers. Adrian, considering his past life as an ordinary citizen, continued his journey, fueled by newfound purpose. While waiting to access the game, Billem acknowledged Adrian's composure and dignity as a true noble. Adrian dismissed the notion, but Billem pointed out Adrian's ability to remain composed, instilling confidence in their subordinates. The 232nd Independence Brigade entirely trusted Adrian, recognizing his leadership. Billem's sudden compliment and subsequent kneel surprised Adrian. Billem reassured him of the trustworthiness of their surroundings, emphasizing their precautions against surveillance. Outside, vanguards loyal to Adrian's father guarded them, indicating Billem's serious intent. Billem expressed his desire to serve Adrian as his lord, seeking Adrian's acceptance. Adrian, after initial hesitation, agreed with the condition that Billem should act normally until instructed otherwise. Bam informed Adrian that other knights outside were considering pledging allegiance, making Adrian realize the depth of support. Billem added that around 5 vanguards and 30 knights were already on board, with potential for further reinforcements from the territory. Adrian saw the opportunity for expanded forces and nodded in approval. Before leaving, Billem disclosed his father's plan to assign Sir Pacis to Adrian. Pacis, a formidable knight with superior skills, surprised Adrian as he thought Pacis had left the order due to family issues. Billem suggested recruiting Pacis in advance, anticipating a shift in the loyalty of other knights. Adrian left the room, contemplating the newfound support and alliances forming around him. His top priority remained clearing the next lucky encounter quest. Swimming in anticipation, Adrian, accompanied by ARA and Black Eagle, encountered an unexpected setback in the game. The system notified him of death, urging him to recover experience points before retrying. In the game, ARA, Black Eagle, and Adrian faced a formidable foe, a Death Knight. The encounter revealed flaws in their combat style. Adrian died in the game, prompting a reset. Reflecting on the limitations of their strategy, Adrian contemplated changes. He considered using low-level magic circles to reduce casting time, involving Kaui as a fighter, and having ARI use a sword for damage. In subsequent battles against the Death Knight, Adrian faced frustrations, experiencing death in the game and realizing the need for adjustments. The challenges forced him to rethink his approach, seeking a more effective combat style. Adrian's determination to adapt and overcome obstacles persisted, both in the game and the unfolding dynamics in the real world. In the game, Adrian faced repeated challenges against the Death Knight Pascal. In the first few battles, he struggled to sustain the fight, with both himself and ARA succumbing to defeat within minutes. Adrian identified Cowie's swift demise as a significant issue, contemplating ways to enhance his companion's survival, even considering equipping Cowie with a chest plate. Undeterred by initial failures, Adrian reassured himself that experimentation was part of the process. He punched the wall in frustration after the third battle, but acknowledged the makeshift plan's success in extending their encounter with Pascal. Recognizing patterns in Pascal's attacks, Adrian felt optimistic about the potential for improvement. Through multiple battles, Adrian refined his approach, testing different formations and strategies. In the 10th battle, he managed to evade attacks and deal more damage, showcasing progress. Each defeat provided insights, and Adrian remained determined to adapt and conquer. The battles against Pascal became a learning experience, revealing the limitations of their current combat style. Exiting the game, Adrian reflected on the unexpected challenges, acknowledging that surpassing the connection time limit was a testament to the unforeseen hurdles they faced. ARA noticed a change in Adrian's perception, and he attributed it to the repeated deaths and resurrections in the game. ARA shared her own experience of feeling stronger after multiple deaths and resurrections. Adrian considered that ARA's evolution was akin to the growth of a human through experiences. Despite the challenges, he recognized that ARA was becoming more than just an artificially created homunculus. Adrian's focus remained on conquering the Lucky Encounter quest. The battles against Pascal continued, with improvements evident in their damage dealt. Adrian, along with ARA and his team, persevered through multiple battles, reaching a triumphant moment in the 18th battle when they finally defeated Pascal. Upon completion of the quest, Adrian celebrated the victory. The system confirmed his achievement of reaching the 7th circle. Moving forward, Adrian and his companions ventured into the 8th floor of Manuel Lucas's Magic Tower. The vastness of the new floor surprised him, questioning whether the intricate decorations were crafted with game graphics. To his amazement, someone revealed that all the decorations were real. Adrian instinctively swung his staff in suspicion, but ARA assured him that everything was fine. As Adrian observed the elderly man at the center of the magic circle, he pondered whether he was a fairy, a grandfather figure, or a new supporter. Upon inquiry, the man identified himself as Chester, the manager of fate and a trace of Manuel Lucas. Adrian grappled with the implications of encountering an artificial intelligence replicating Lucas's memories. Chester explained his role and existence, emphasizing that although he lacked a soul, he held data containing a person's life. Adrian, initially wary, engaged in a conversation with Chester. The discussion touched upon eternal life, memory duplication, and the imperfections of the Hollywood system. Adrian questioned Chester about his sudden appearance and expressed concerns about potential restrictions or duties. Chester reassured Adrian, alleviating his concerns. Adrian, intrigued and relieved, continued the conversation, grappling with the complexities of his existence in the virtual world. The encounter with Chester added another layer of intrigue to Adrian's journey, prompting further contemplation about the nature of his reality. In a surprising turn of events, a system materialized before Adrian, displaying the grant of Hollywood System Administrator authority 5 times. Chester explained that the acquired fate encompassed Manuel Lucas's entirety, offering various authorities, albeit with limitations. Adrian, astonished, realized he could wield control over all programs within the Hollywood system, essentially the virtual reality system. However, Chester outlined 4 rules to govern the use of administrator authority. Adrian couldn't use it for Chronicle, online linked with Lucas's fate, directly access someone's brain, steal property, or exercise authority with a negative impact on the world. Adrian found the rules logical and inquired about laundering the wealth acquired through fate. Chester detailed methods, suggesting investment and stock trading records in the online currency market, ensuring minimal risk of detection. With a growing understanding of his newfound powers, Adrian requested Chester to organize his assets, now totaling 1.2625 trillion loots. He further sought a legitimate family registration for ARA and decided to place her as coming from the holy city Everhill, inventing a tragic family history. Adrian marveled at Chester's ability to fulfill his requests, likening him to a genie from a magic lamp. Adrian expressed gratitude, thinking Chester was Manuel Lucas. However, Chester clarified his role, prompting Adrian to ponder the complexity of his virtual existence. The system announced Adrian's acquisition of 50 trillion loot in Sky Fortress Icarus, along with the creation of the Seventh Circle. Meanwhile, in the Archduchy city of Nishan, Bam engaged in a conversation with Pieces, the former vice captain of the Knight Order. Pieces questioned the support for Adrian's move, but Bam emphasized Adrian's potential for the territory's development. Intrigued, Pieces sought to gauge Adrian's capabilities and intentions. Bilam, recalling his own support for Adrian, assured Pieces of Adrian's genius, encouraging him to experience it firsthand. Bam suggested meeting Adrian before deciding, revealing that Adrian planned to visit soon. Pieces pondered Adrian's journey, aware of the prodigy's past struggles. The conversation shifted to a discussion about supporting Adrian in persuading vassals maintaining neutrality, a task Bilam found interesting. As Adrian's imminent visit was mentioned, Pieces felt a surge of mana, indicating a Seventh Circle teleportation. Adrian, accompanied by ARA, appeared, revealing they had been under siege. Adrian, nonchalant, ordered ARA to eliminate the assassin swiftly, leaving Bam bewildered. Adrian, with a laid-back expression, questioned their lack of preparation, alluding to his 13-year pursuit of revenge. Bam, perplexed, wondered about the situation and the formidable individual beside Adrian. Before he could inquire, Adrian shared his dream of revenge and expressed disappointment in their lack of awareness. Pieces, humbled, realized he had underestimated Adrian's capabilities. A silent exchange unfolded between them, emphasizing the complexity of Adrian's character and the mysterious circumstances surrounding him. That he was a good servant, patting him on the shoulder. The man, relieved, pledged his unwavering loyalty to her, promising to handle the situation with Adrian. Meanwhile, in Lu Kingdom, Adrian and Pieces conversed about their plans. Adrian, exhibiting traits of conquest and leadership, shared an allied and friendly relationship with Pieces. Pieces questioned whether Anna had sent them, and Adrian confirmed, expecting numerous inquiries. With a snap of his fingers, Adrian magically eradicated the corpses and restored the damaged surroundings, leaving Bam in awe. Adrian assured them it was a Fifth Circle magic spell, dismissing the need for further consideration. Adrian proposed locating and, with a touch of teleportation magic, swiftly transported them, showcasing the prowess of the Seventh Circle spell, Teleport. Lu Kingdom, an ally of Reinhardt Kingdom, was renowned for its Grand Wizards. Duke K. Riverdale, a Grand Wizard and esteemed teacher, had successfully trained 6 Seventh Circle wizards. Despite his acclaim, many believed Archduke Lucas to be the greatest wizard of all time. Pieces, curious about Adrian's magic teacher, asked if it was Duke Riverdale. However, he learned that Riverdale had passed away a year ago. Adrian acknowledged this but explained that Riverdale had taught him in both the real and virtual worlds. Pieces, astonished, realized Adrian's unique learning environment, alternating between the real and virtual worlds. Adrian revealed that the only place he could act without restriction was the virtual world, and Riverdale had taught him there as well. Pieces was initially skeptical, given Adrian's youth in reaching the Seventh Circle. Adrian explained that having the title of Duke Riverdale's disciple offered a plausible cover. Pieces acknowledged the clever strategy and the holographic records that substantiated Adrian's story. Adrian then confessed to having 3,000 times the wealth he showed Pieces, intending to push Cedric off his spot, inherit the family, and gain unmatched power. Pieces, acknowledging his loyalty, accepted Adrian's extended hand, pledging allegiance. In Anna's room, she confronted her butler about the disappearance of 5 expert assassins. Angry, she threw her wine glass and demanded answers. Frustrated with her subordinate's failure, she questioned the whereabouts of Pieces and Bilam. The butler informed her that Bilam had returned to his unit, and Pieces' location was unknown. Anna, aware of Pieces and Bilam's potential alliance, felt the need to watch over the situation more closely. She recalled Rayford's request to stop monitoring Adrian and Sylvia, a decision that annoyed her. Anna learned about Adrian's exceptional performance, increasing his influence and the growing support from knights. In a fit of rage, Anna considered killing Adrian as a solution but was warned about the irreversible consequences. The butler suggested reinforcing the assassin guild, but Anna contemplated the idea of eliminating Adrian. She dismissed the butler, who warned her about the repercussions. Alone, Anna pondered her next move. Considering the complications arising from Adrian's actions and growing influence, she wrestled with the decision of whether to eliminate Adrian and the potential fallout with Rayford and others. The room echoed with the weight of Anna's choices as she grappled with the complexities of the unfolding situation. Why someone like them? Adrian, with a stern expression, demanded answers from the captain's enemy. He wanted to know who sent them and why they were after him. The captain's enemy, defeated and in pain, hesitated but eventually revealed that they were hired by Anna to eliminate Adrian. Adrian, maintaining his composure, asked for further details, wanting to understand Anna's motives. The captain's enemy, desperate and realizing the futility of resisting, explained that Anna saw Adrian as a threat to her plans and wanted to remove him from the equation. Adrian, unfazed by the revelation, contemplated the situation. Meanwhile, ARA stood by, her forced sword at the ready, ensuring the captain's enemy didn't attempt any sudden moves. Adrian, considering the gravity of Anna's actions, pondered his next move. He decided against killing the captain's enemy, acknowledging that doing so wouldn't change anything. Adrian then turned to ARA, instructing her to tie up the captain's enemy and secure him for further questioning. ARA efficiently carried out the task, using her virtual restraints to immobilize the captive. Adrian, with a determined look, vowed to confront Anna and address the escalating conflict. Back in the real world, Adrian found himself staring at the screen, his mind processing the virtual events. He knew the implications of Anna's actions extended beyond the game. It was a real-world threat, and he needed to handle it with care. Adrian logged out, leaving the virtual realm behind. He contemplated the next steps, knowing that a confrontation with Anna was inevitable. The unexpected turn of events had brought him face to face with a formidable adversary, and Adrian was ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. As the tension escalated, Adrian, still maintaining a calm demeanor, observed the chaos unfolding around him. The knights, once loyal to Cedric, now hesitated to follow his orders. The atmosphere was thick with uncertainty and unspoken rebellion. Anna, realizing the situation slipping away from her control, attempted to regain authority. She questioned Bilam, demanding an explanation for the accusations thrown his way. Bilam, shocked and caught off guard, vehemently denied Cedric's claims, insisting that he had no intention of rebellion. Cedric, growing more frustrated, continued to assert his authority. He shouted at the knights to arrest Bilam, but the defiance in their eyes remained unyielding. Adrian, seizing the opportunity, stepped forward, his eyes fixed on Cedric. He spoke calmly, reminding Cedric that he needed to reconsider his actions. Sylvia, sensing the impending conflict, pleaded with everyone to calm down. She emphasized that Adrian had just returned from the battlefield and needed rest. However, the tension in the air was palpable, and it seemed inevitable that the brewing storm would unleash its fury. In the midst of the chaos, Morris User, Anna's right-hand man, stepped forward. His expression was calm, and he addressed Adrian directly, asking for clarification. Adrian, taking a moment, explained that he had no intention of rebellion and that his loyalty was to the Lawrence family. He pointed out the absurdity of the accusations and subtly hinted at Anna and Cedric's manipulation. As Adrian spoke, Morris seemed to weigh the information carefully. The other knights, watching the exchange, started to question the validity of Cedric's claims. The room became a battlefield of words and glances, with alliances shifting in the blink of an eye. Cedric, realizing that his authority was slipping away, lowered his sword. He attempted to salvage the situation by dismissing the accusations as baseless. Adrian, however, stood firm, challenging Cedric to reconsider his actions and recognize the true enemy. The tension in the room reached its peak, with the fragile balance between loyalty and doubt hanging in the air. The aftermath of the battlefield seemed to have extended into the heart of the Lawrence mansion, creating a battleground of conflicting interests and hidden agendas. Were to openly support Adrian Lawrence. Meanwhile, in a distant mansion, Raven Margrave, Anna's father, seethed with anger. The news of Adrian's actions had reached him, and he slammed his hand on the table in frustration. The men in his presence explained the situation, detailing the spreading video and the speculations surrounding Cedric and Anna's alleged treason. Raven, though dismissive of online comments, couldn't ignore the potential impact on the noble circles. The men assured him that it was merely a few complaints, but Raven, ever the strategic thinker, recognized the need to control the narrative. He ordered his men to investigate the source of the video and take measures to counteract the negative publicity. The political chessboard was in motion, with Adrian's unexpected transformation into an archmage creating ripples that reached even the highest echelons of nobility. The consequences of this revelation were yet to fully unfold, and Raven Margrave, a key player in this game, contemplated his next moves with a mix of anger and strategic calculation. The stage was set for a power struggle that extended far beyond the confines of Adrian's immediate circle. Adherin says that he appreciates her willingness to offer more help, but for now this is all he requires. Olivia, intrigued but respecting his decision, agrees to hold the press conference as requested. Meanwhile, back in Raven Margrave's mansion, tensions rise as the clock ticks toward the deployment of troops. Raven is furious as he watches Olivia's announcement about Adrian's newfound status. The realization that Riverdale is backing Adrian sends shockwaves through Raven's carefully laid plans. Frustration builds within Raven, and he slams the video device to the ground. His butler, concerned about the risks and the potential intervention of the royal family, attempts to reason with him. However, Raven, fueled by his determination to achieve his goal, dismisses these concerns. He is convinced that the expedition must proceed as planned, regardless of the unfolding developments. In Adrian's mansion, he contemplates the approaching conflict. Cowie, the mystical entity, is perched on his shoulder, offering a unique perspective. Adrian, with a strategic vision, anticipates his enemy's every move. The unfolding events, including Olivia's press conference plan, align with Adrian's calculated strategy. As Olivia and Adrian discuss the press conference, Adrian's focus remains on the key elements needed to solidify his position. He appreciates Olivia's support but insists on keeping things simple for now. Olivia, puzzled by his seemingly uncomplicated request, questions him. Adrian, with a confident smile, assures her that revealing his identity as the former Duke of Riverdale's disciple and an archmage is all he currently needs. The stage is set for a confrontation between the forces led by Raven Margrave and the emerging power of Adrian Lawrence. The political and magical chessboard is in motion, with each move carefully calculated to secure dominance and control in this intricate game of power and influence. Teleporting in the sky, along with the fiery remnants of a sky fortress. The caption reads, Lawrence's Rebellion, Sky Fortress Suicide Bombing. The game of power and manipulation had shifted, and Raven was left to grapple with the consequences of his actions. The dynamics of his newfound position left Adrian feeling different. The overwhelming support from the people compelled him to prove that he was distinct from other nobles. To bridge the gap, he believed in constant communication, recognizing discrimination against commoners as a systemic issue. Rayford's unexpected call shook Adrian, revealing an order from ARA Klein to appear at the Board of Inspection. The terse message hinted at Raven Margrave's play, the High Noble's plan to assert control, or the Royal Council's attempt to subdue them. Adrian had to strategize, and he shared his plan with Billum and his father. Believing that nobles valued money the most, Adrian aimed to shift their opinions by paying taxes on his investment earnings. The idea was to cover one issue with another. However, his father and Billum didn't seem entirely pleased with the approach. Adrian, undeterred, showcased his impressive loot balance, staggering them with the revelation of 60 trillion loots. Bam's excitement echoed through the room, questioning how Adrian amassed such wealth. Billum, bewildered by the astronomical figure, couldn't fathom the magnitude of Adrian's loot. Adrian attributed it to luck, dismissing the idea of foreseeing the future or reincarnation as a joke. Despite his unconventional methods, Adrian aimed to change the noble's perception with the sheer power of wealth. As the news broke that Adrian reported taxes on his 60 trillion investment earnings, shockwaves reverberated through the noble society. Meanwhile, Otis happily marveled at Adrian's ability to surprise people. Otis shared the news with his family, and Michelle, Otis' daughter, expressed a peculiar interest in Adrian's face. However, she asserted her independence, determined to earn her authority without relying on a partner. Otis speculated on Adrian's rise, considering a possible deal between the Riverdale family and Reinhardt royals. Michelle dismissed it as a conspiracy theory, but Otis' realization hinted at a deeper understanding. The breaking news interrupted their conversation, revealing that the public priest had found Manuel Lucas's lucky encounter. In Manuel Lucas's tower, Adrian contemplated his busy schedule, involving inspections, royal parties, and the search for sky fortresses. Amidst his responsibilities, he logged in whenever he could, voraciously absorbing research books. The books revealed Lucas's legacy, highlighting the weapons that changed warfare and the dimension teleportation Lucas devoted his life to. Adrian pondered Lucas's motivations, realizing that Lucas missed home and left traces on Rondel to connect with someone from Earth. Lucas's legacy became Adrian's hope, and he promised to fulfill Lucas's desire to go back. The conversation with Chester revolved around the risks of money laundering, Adrian's unique position as a Grand Wizard, and the need for secrecy. Outside, people hailed Louis Fairmont as the Prius Republic's national hero. Louis, an intelligence agent and President Cartro's son, reveled in the public adoration. The fake Lucky Encounter possessor basked in the cheers, creating a momentary distraction from the unfolding events in Rondel. The fake Lucky Encounter possessor operation aimed to divert attention from Adrian by having someone else pose as the possessor of Archmage Manuel Lucas's Lucky Encounter. Adrian, strategically using this operation, intended to dispel doubts surrounding him until he reached the ninth circle. He confided in Chester, expressing discomfort at leaving Lucas's name in the hands of someone like Louis. Considering the corruption in the Prius Republic, Adrian questioned whether the operation would boost President Cart's approval rating further. Chester acknowledged the possibility but emphasized that the county's situation would remain unchanged. Adrian hoped that, aside from Louis and Cartro, no one else would become a victim. Chester, however, warned of an impending diplomatic war involving many countries, making innocent casualties unavoidable. Surprisingly, Chester readily accepted the responsibility of identifying any innocent victims, highlighting a level of empathy unexpected from an artificial being. Adrian pondered this contrast and wondered if he could create beings like ARA or Chester once he achieved the ninth circle. While contemplating these matters, Adrian, now at level 205, decided it was time for ARA and Cowie to go hunting. However, mindful of his progress toward level 250, he anticipated a wait. The conversation shifted to Adrian's plan for purchasing Sky Fortresses and Vanguard Force equipment, revealing his intention to meet the military limits. The servant in Lawrence's mansion overheard this, sparking discussions about Adrian's increasing influence and power. The narrative then shifted to Adrian's interaction with the maids at the Lawrence mansion. The maid, tasked with serving ARA, navigated the delicate dynamics among the servants, emphasizing the tension between Anna's former supporters and Adrian's rise to power. The text concluded with Adrian inviting Lopez and Eric to accompany him to the royal castle. The purpose was to undergo investigation by the Audit and Inspection Board for nobles, providing an opportunity for them to observe and learn from the country's leaders. Lopez shyly assured Adrian that he would do his best, prompting Adrian to note that if Lopez aimed for advancement, he needed to become bolder. The knight announced their arrival at the teleportation gate, and Adrian instructed immediate departure. They reached the capital of Reinhardt's kingdom, Lionel, where the maids expressed amazement at seeing him in person. In the Royal Administrative Building, nobles cheered for Adrian and ARA. Baron Harris Walker, a high-ranking administrator and noble inspector leader, welcomed them. Baron possessed exceptional intelligence, administrative power, leadership abilities, and learning capacity, with integrity as his defining trait. Despite his friendly demeanor, Baron felt mentally exhausted due to recent events. Adrian handed Baron his card, revealing plans to appoint a talented administrator upon becoming a Viscount. Stunned, Baron questioned the gesture. Adrian explained his intent, promising the best treatment. The narrative shifted to investigation room number 1, with only Adrian and ARA allowed inside for a 2 to 3 hour inspection. Before entering, Adrian instructed Bill and the scholars to tour the area. He offered a generous allowance and urged them to have a good time. Bill and the scholars saluted, wishing him safety. Adrian whispered a cautionary note to Bill about being careful. Inside, Chief Inspector Douglas Hamilton and Second Prince Luke Wynn Reinhardt awaited. Adrian recognized the potential issues, and the atmosphere was tense. Luke Wynn, also the Royal Guard's number 2 commander, greeted Adrian enthusiastically. The inspection led by Luke Wynn surprised Adrian, and he acknowledged the high stakes involved. Chief Inspector Douglas pointed out the one-sided damage caused to the Raven Margrave's side. Luke Wynn countered that it was a territorial dispute, not an ambush. Adrian listened as the investigation continued, speculating on Luke Wynn's strained relationship with him. He wondered if it was due to external influence. Luke Wynn expressed a preference for straightforward discussions. Adrian encouraged him to proceed. Luke Wynn revealed his motive for participating in the investigation. He aimed to address the unease caused by Adrian's involvement with the Raven Margrave, one of his brother's primary supporters. He explained that if Adrian had joined his brother's side, things could have taken a worse turn. Adrian pondered the implications of the second prince's involvement in the investigation and his competition with the crown prince. But it wasn't enough to create a significant impact. The issue lay with him and Ara, seemingly emerging out of nowhere. They possessed exceptional individual abilities and substantial funds, making them potential game changers capable of disrupting the established balance. Adrian acknowledged that there was no advantage in getting involved in political warfare. Adrian explained to Luck Win that he wasn't prepared to enter the political arena, especially without acquiring his title yet. However, Luck Win emphasized that this was precisely why it mattered more. He expressed a desire for Adrian to join his side, valuing his status as an arch-wizard and his past contributions to the war. He even promised support in obtaining the Marquis title, surprising Adrian. While Adrian considered the offer, Luck Win mentioned Adrian's prospective Viscounty, Muranov, making it sound appealing. Adrian, intending to remain neutral, found Luck Win's offer tempting. He asked if he was genuinely worth that much, to which Luck Win replied that he was worth more than Adrian thought. Luck Win mentioned Ara, and Adrian felt silently disappointed. Adrian requested time to think, but Luck Win offered a week for consideration. Adrian expressed gratitude as they faced each other. Luck Win asked if Adrian believed the crown should go to someone with the right abilities, extending his hand. Adrian accepted it, and Luck Win emphasized the potential decline of the Reinhardt kingdom if the crown prince ascended. Turning to Ara, Luck Win shook her hand, expressing surprise at her smaller stature. He suggested a possible duel, which Ara gladly accepted. As Luck Win left, he commented on Ara's perceived emotionlessness and mentioned seeing her next time. Walking behind Adrian, Douglas advised him to stop thinking and accept the offer, as Luck Win wasn't accustomed to rejection. They left the room, and Adrian pondered if Luck Win was merely going through the motions. He contemplated whether to return or explore further, asking Ara if she was hungry. Ara mentioned a craving for food, and Adrian proposed having a meal, knowing some restaurants in the area. Someone addressed them from behind, revealing that he also knew many restaurants. Another man with a handsome face greeted them. Adrian was initially confused but realized it was the first Prince Michael van Reinhardt, a fifth circle high wizard. Michael appeared overpowered when he opened his eyes, and Adrian was astounded by his capabilities. Adrian noticed Michael's exceptional stats, heavily skewed toward politics and administration. Michael's talents exceeded Ara's, and Adrian wondered about the first prince's mystery. Michael commented on their pairing as an arch-wizard and an aura master. Adrian speculated on the lack of attention Michael received, attributed to a face alteration spell. Michael revealed an underground electric stone mine causing interruptions in teleport spells. He clicked a device, dispelling the interruption barrier, shocking Adrian. Michael guided them, and Adrian couldn't shake the feeling that Michael was far from an ordinary person. Later, they arrived at their destination, and Michael invited them into a room filled with golden shining objects. Michael informed them that they could speak freely now. Michael clicked the device again, reinstating the interruption barrier, revealing his playful manipulation of security. They shook hands, and Adrian expressed his honor at meeting the crown prince. The butler approached Michael, confirming his return, and Michael requested a meal for his guests. Adrian marveled at the butler's efficiency, observing people with high-end talents moving effortlessly. Michael confirmed the palace was his and offered them juices, emphasizing the importance of good food. Michael asked Adrian if he knew he followed him on social media, showing his overpowered closed eyes profile picture. Adrian, surprised, admitted he hadn't expected the crown prince to have a social media presence. Michael explained that, unlike many nobles, he enjoyed the virtual world. Adrian learned that Michael held the title of crown prince, adding another layer to the enigmatic figure, treating him like a best friend with genuine warmth, unlike the second prince's behavior. Adrian complimented Michael's sense of humor, and Michael acknowledged enjoying Adrian's posts mocking the Raven Margrave. Adrian was surprised and asked if Michael had seen his posts, which significantly helped him gain followers. Michael suggested it was Adrian's looks that played a role, and Adrian proudly acknowledged his appearance. Ara paid no attention to their banter, focused on the food. Adrian asked Michael about the reason for their invitation, and Michael replied with a question, asking if Adrian didn't already know. Adrian assumed they were being recruited, and Michael agreed. Adrian inquired about Michael's expectations and what he could offer, but Michael regretfully admitted having nothing to offer at the moment. Adrian asked about benefits once Michael ascended to the throne, and Michael confirmed his intent. However, he also mentioned not obstructing Adrian from obtaining the Viscount title. Michael explained the challenges in acquiring the title and Luck-Win's possibly empty promise. Adrian understood Michael couldn't offer the title like Luck-Win, but implied support. Michael suggested Adrian would obtain the title by joining Luck-Win's side. With no opposition from his side, Adrian replied he would take whatever he could get, and Michael invited him to join his side. Adrian considered the offer, realizing the choice he made would be a wild card for an advantage. If he accepted, he could align with the first prince. If he declined, his title would be at risk. Informing Michael that he had more choices, but only one answer, Adrian expressed his belief in deserving the throne more than the second prince. Michael reminded him claims alone wouldn't secure the title, and Adrian stated he couldn't betray his followers. Michael turned to Ara, and she replied that she would follow Adrian as long as he was okay with it. Adrian, somewhat awkwardly, asked if she truly meant it, and Michael commented that they looked good together. Adrian blushed, pleading with Michael to stop. When it was time for dessert, Adrian asked Michael about showing resistance to Luck-Win, and Michael revealed his plan to pretend initially, and then back down. Adrian suggested receiving something in return for allowing Michael to win the title, and Michael asked for examples. Adrian seized the chance to gain leverage, proposing demoting Raven Margrave to Earl. Michael considered it a fair deal, and Adrian explained the significant damage it would inflict on Luck-Win's side. Michael suggested it seemed like a personal matter, admitting he wouldn't deny it. He derived satisfaction from damaging Luck-Win's feud and controlling Raven. Michael inquired about what would happen if Luck-Win rejected the deal. Adrian responded promoting one of his men to Margrave would be a good option, emphasizing the significant difference. Adrian proposed maximizing profits by being a Viscount who possessed an aura master. Michael, suspicious, asked if he could reveal who he had met on the second prince's side before meeting him. Adrian listed those present during the interrogation, glancing at M, wondering if he had made a mistake. Michael's suspicion transformed into curiosity. Adrian told Michael he now understood, and Michael laughed, asking if he could read minds. Adrian clarified he couldn't read minds but made assumptions through his glasses. Michael became confused, concerned about his plan leaking. Michael admitted considering similar plans, impressed with Adrian's decision-making abilities. Michael reassured Adrian not to be embarrassed and expressed a desire not to be his enemy. He suggested remaining friends, and they both laughed, agreeing with the sentiment. Moments later, Michael handed him a gadget, accepted it, inquiring if it was a communication device. Michael confirmed, explaining it was a secure device that couldn't be bugged. He informed Adrian that he would contact him on that device for further discussions, thanking him for the helpful and joyful meal. Clicking the device, transportation magic appeared beneath them. Just before they vanished, Michael assured Adrian they would meet again. Adrian looked forward to it, and with that, they disappeared, leaving Michael alone in his chamber. A minute later, they found themselves in a different location. Adrian asked Ara where they were, and she revealed they were in storage near the entrance, a place Michael had taken care of. Wondering how many similar places Michael had, Adrian suggested leaving, and Ara followed him. As they were about to exit, he spotted Bill and Lopes in the storage, both holding various items. Surprised to see him, they greeted him with respect, concealing the objects behind them. Curious, he asked them what they were hiding. Ara tapped him, pointing to miniature figurines of him and her scattered throughout the storage. Astonished, he discovered Reinhardt Kingdom's star figurines of himself and Ara stocked for sale in souvenir stores inside the castle. Bill and Lopez, holding paper bags, claimed they were merely admiring the figurines. Meanwhile, on the internet, trending news reported that Fuzz Empire's debt to GDP ratio had increased by 12% within the year. Severe corruption made Recess Island hesitant to consider introducing a republic. The economy's signs of inflation took a backseat as the Freest Republic focused on military strength. The hope rested in the hands of a lucky encounter, obtained by the president's son Louis Fairmont. Questions arose about whether the Archduke Lucas lucky encounter was real. Some were furious, questioning how it fell into the hands of clueless individuals. In the Brigham Empire's Palace Gold Dragon Castle, Emperor Edward Noah Brigham passionately declared they deserved the lucky encounter. He urged people to speak up, frustrated with the lack of effort and funds into the search. Summoning the Director of Information Earl Alfred, Edward inquired about her thoughts on the claims made by the Fuss Empire. She calmly expressed a view that it was a 50-50th situation. Alfred explained their outdated exploration methods and the unexpected discovery's seemingly random location. She highlighted the lack of knowledge about the Lucky Encounter's core, making the discovery illogical. Edward suggested the possibility of the real owner orchestrating a grand deception to mislead the Fuss Empire. Alfred proposed two possibilities. Archduke Lucas hints were diversions, or someone had already found the real Lucky Encounter. Edward wondered why someone with the real discovery would create distractions instead of remaining hidden. Alfred theorized the individual might have been exposed or was an unknown variable. Edward suggested the potential culprits: the Kroon Empire, the Elia allies, Lucius' kingdom, and Reinhardt kingdom. He expressed higher suspicion toward the Elia allies due to the Eld's capabilities in manipulating situations. Edward acknowledged news about a young man in the Reinhardt kingdom achieving the seventh circle at the age of 20. This prodigious individual had amassed assets of 60 trillion through investments. Earl added that investigations into his investments revealed no ties to the Lucky Encounter. Edward questioned if it was all accomplished solely by the individual's talent. Earl recalled their empire harboring someone with talents surpassing even Adrian Lawrence. Edward acknowledged this and noted the Reinhardt kingdom was already entangled in succession conflicts. Earl suggested ranking the potential culprits, and Edward ordered an increase in surveillance on royals and nobles. Edward further instructed a stern warning to the empire laying claim to Archduke Lucas' Lucky Encounter. He declared that sacrificing one country to acquire it was a small price to pay. Edward stood up, indicating one more action to take, ordering Earl to contact the young man in Reinhardt. She inquired about the nature of this contact, and Edward instructed her to propose immigration, suggesting becoming an earl in their empire would be more beneficial for the young man. Shocking rumors circulated among the nobles about Adrian. They heard Adrian had imprisoned and killed his half-brother and mother in a flying fortress. The audience was stunned, questioning the veracity of the rumors. Another described Adrian as a lunatic who callously observed his family's demise, posting celebratory images online. One man exclaimed they wouldn't have dared to cross paths with Adrian if they had known. Another expressed surprise, realizing Adrian was the Duke of Riverdale's disciple. A concerned lady inquired about their safety, considering Adrian's prowess as a grand wizard and the presence of an aura master. A man among the nobles emphasized that the union of two earls and one viscount consolidated significant power, almost rivaling that of a margrave or marquis. He questioned if this aggregation of influence wasn't excessive for a new aristocrat. However, a lady among them accepted it, acknowledging the power it represented. Dismissed their concerns. Isabella Cascable pointed out that Margrave Raiden's struggles stemmed from Adrian's reckless intrusion with his troops. She queried whether it would have been an equal match in a direct confrontation. Agreeing with her sentiment, one of the men supported her standpoint. Another member asked if she wasn't worried given that she particularly antagonized Adrian. However, she rebuked them, labeling them as cowards and urging them to employ common sense. She emphasized that the times had changed, and they need not tremble in fear because of a single Grand Wizard and an Aura Master. She expounded on the strengths of their defenses, indicating that the Flying Fortress could withstand multiple attacks from a Grand Wizard. Furthermore, with the right strategy and sufficient forces, they could neutralize the Aura Master. She pointed out that, in essence, their combined power was not significantly different from an alliance comprising a Margrave family, an Earl, and 4 Viscounts, urging the nobles not to underestimate their strength, silencing further discussion. One of the nobles acknowledged that it would indeed be challenging to directly harm Adrian if he were to acquire the title of an Earl. Another noble agreed, sharing the insight that if Adrian did become an Earl, he would be a high aristocrat in name only for a while. Realizing that their fear was unfounded, they began to tease each other, lightening the mood. But Isabella's watch suddenly lit up. She stood up and informed them that she needed to leave. A man asked why she was leaving as they were just starting, mentioning that a person named Lotus had gone to the Elia allies and obtained valuable men. Medic Isabella replied that her father had called, making it impossible for her to stay this time. The lady encouraged her to return quickly after completing her business, to which Isabella promised she would try. As Isabella left the room, her thoughts turned to Adrian. She remembered his striking silver hair and blue eyes, a standout appearance even among their classmates at the academy. She recalled the day when Adrian had become furious, asking them what they were doing. She calmly told him that he had chosen to be there, and that the commoner had offended her. 2 other ladies whispered to each other, noting that Adrian had never responded to anything until that moment. They speculated whether it was because he shared a humble background with the commoner. Isabella smugly asked Adrian if he was glad to learn that making fun of an aristocrat would lead to dire consequences. Adrian responded by vowing to torment her in the most terrible way possible and make her regret being born into that world. Isabella laughed at the memory and reflected on her fondness for Adrian, especially when she saw his handsome face twist in anger. She arrogantly wondered what a mere earl without a political base could do to her as she dominated the social circle within the 6th Margrave family. However, her thoughts took a sharp turn when she asked her father, Margrave Cascable, what he had just said. Her father, an ally of the second prince Luck Win, revealed that Luck had promised Adrian the title of a marquis. Cascable explained that Luck Win believed Adrian was well worth it, given that he had become a 7th Circle wizard at the age of 20, making it possible for him to reach the status of an 8th Circle Great Wizard in the future. Additionally, Adrian possessed the talent of a Grandmaster equivalent to an 8th Circle wizard. His presence was crucial for shifting the balance in their favor, and it was advantageous to have someone of such influence on their side. Cascable conveyed his desire for Isabella to use her position in society to establish a friendship with Adrian. The best-case scenario would be for her to marry him, leaving Isabella in a state of silent realization that this would be a challenging task. Shortly after, she rushed down the corridor, her mind racing with the realization that Adrian had become the 6th Marquis of Reinhardt. She understood that while an earl and a marquis were only one rank apart, the difference in their political influence was immeasurable. She worried about the implications this had for her future. Frantically, she opened the door and called out loudly for her friends, but she was stunned to find them inebriated and reveling in a party. It became clear to her that these friends would be of no assistance in her current predicament. Meanwhile, within the game, Ara's hair underwent a transformation, turning into a shining white hue. She asked Adrian if this change was acceptable, and he complimented her, saying that it looked good on her. After returning from the royal palace to express his gratitude, Adrian had logged back into Chronicle. To avoid the presence of a character bearing a striking resemblance to the celebrity Ara, he decided to give her this simple disguise by altering her hair color to white. Moments later, someone inquired if he was contemplating entering the military industry. When Pesis turned to look at the person, he was taken aback by the individual's presence. Pesis questioned the man's behavior in front of Adrian, but the man retorted by asking about Pesis's own behavior. This man was a Grand Knack and a first-time accountant, 22 years old, affiliated with the Green Accounting Office in the Kingdom of Reinhardts. He possessed high skills in intellectual ability, administrative power, and academic ability with low political power. His attributed quality was quick analysis, and his relationships were marked by interest and alliance. His current status was deemed surprising. Adrian was astonished to see that Pesis's son shared 3 high-ranking abilities identical to those of his father. The man explained that the industries they had taken over, such as cult steel manufacturing, zenith artifacts, Kina magic towers, and Patnik mana, were akin to hippos that didn't yield immediate profits but instead consumed capital. Adrian had acquired all 5 of these companies, and the man believed that it was a strategic move for future investment. Adrian grinned, acknowledging the man's astute observation. He told the man that while the mining and distribution industries, the primary sectors of their Lawrence estate, were viable, they had clear growth limitations. Hence, he saw the military industry as a promising venture. In that regard, the man expressed his surprise, remarking that the plan seemed fitting for a grand wizard. But Adrian countered with a question, wondering if the man's inquiry stemmed from mere curiosity. The man clarified that he sought to understand the priorities for future instructions. Pesis, in response, sighed lightly. Adrian smiled and indicated they would begin with vanguard equipment, leaving both Pesis and the man astonished. Pesis inquired if it was feasible, to which Adrian confirmed that they had a grasp of the force system's principles and a rough manufacturing method for the vanguard equipment. As long as their assistants followed these guidelines diligently, the production was indeed possible. Adrian knew that the manufacturing of vanguard force equipment was currently in the hands of 3 powerful families. There were 4 Grand Wizards apart from him, but only 2 had the capability to craft force equipment. Thus, a sudden appearance of a 20-year-old Grand Wizard manufacturing vanguard force equipment was certain to attract public attention and would lead to a partial diversion of strength, inevitably resulting in some failures. Adrian informed them that he wouldn't settle for the current level of vanguard equipment, expressing his intent to be informed as soon as a good magic tower became available for purchase. Pisus and his son were initially confused about Adrian's dissatisfaction with the Vanguard's equipment, but they soon realized it pertained to the flying fortresses. Their relationship with Adrian shifted from mere respect and admiration to a status of goodwill and loyalty. Both of them enthusiastically assured Adrian of their commitment, to which he replied that he looked forward to their efforts. Rayford, taken aback, let the tea drool from his mouth in shock and queried Adrian about his reference to the title of Marquis. He reminded his father that he had agreed to accept the second prince's offer, thinking to himself that he shouldn't disclose Michael's proposal to his father, as maintaining strict secrecy was crucial to avoid potential betrayal. Rayford expressed his dismay, stating that nothing had unfolded as expected since his return from the battlefield. His mother also expressed concerns, fearing that her son might ascend to nobility, and inquired if it was all right. Adrian explained that an earl held the same noble status as a marquis, but his mother worriedly pointed out the differences in their hierarchical level. Sighing, Adrian pondered that despite his mother's experience as the hostess of a viscount, she still struggled to adapt. He humorously questioned the significance of becoming a marquis, stating that he'd need to ascend to the position of a king in a country and establish a harem to be content. However, to his surprise, his father reacted angrily, and his mother appeared pale, leaving Adrian confused about their responses. His father passionately questioned the absurdity of his remarks, particularly with his lover sitting beside him. Realizing that he had portrayed Ara as his lover for convenience, though their relationship was not of that nature, he hastily attempted to retract his words, claiming it was a jest. However, his father sternly advised him against joking about certain matters. Adrian suggested his father observe Ara's reaction, but found her status to be complex and subtle. In a momentary blink, her status seemed to return to normal, adding to his confusion. His mother advised him to treat Ara well and not to look at her differently without reason. He nodded in agreement and offered an apology to Ara, who continued eating without any visible reaction. Feeling awkward, Adrian cleared his throat and proposed they address an impending important task that had been postponed, intending to mark a fresh start for the Lawrence family. His father inquired about the delay, to which Adrian clarified that it referred to dealing with the employees who had caused harm to him and his mother. He intended to cleanse the situation both internally and externally. The next day in the royal castle, someone told the king that not even a margrave, but a marquis was too much for such a situation. Then the men shouted that it was right, and even with Adrian's achievements in that war alone, they were more than enough to bestow upon Adrian the title of a viscount or baronet, so they should take it into account. Then another man added that Adrian also had the Aura Master Ara as his fiancé. If Adrian left for another country that treated him better, they would lose Ara as well. The other side still asked if there shouldn't be equity. Lukwin, a man, responded that, on the contrary, it was against equity to give Ara only the title of a count, given Adrian's great achievements. Lukwin told the king that many countries were already trying to approach Adrian because they had fallen for Adrian's talents. Some people even said that Adrian was the person who would become the next Archduke Lucas. Thus, half-hearted treatment was akin to abandoning a competent young man who would lead the future of their kingdom. However, Michael told the king that he knew that in almost 200 years, there had not been a case of someone with no title becoming a marquis at once. Lukwin argued that he had won over Adrian and he had no other intention than to empower Adrian. This made Lukwin angry, and he asked Michael if his words were too much. Michael just asked him why they needed to sugarcoat their discussion and whether Lukwin thought he'd allow it so easily, even if Adrian was a figure that could benefit him. Lukwin furiously asked Michael what he meant and told him that he wanted him to understand how inappropriate his comment was considering his position as the crown prince. Michael told Lukwin that if he accepted their request, they would accept his argument. Their request was that they should let Earl Raven step down from his position as a margrave. Lukwin asked Michael if he was suggesting that they should give up their existing influence to gain new influence, and Michael replied that he didn't think it was a bad suggestion because Margrave Raven could maintain his position as an earl. He asked Lukwin if it wouldn't simply be adding another marquis. Lukwin shouted that it was not possible, and he could never do something so despicable as risking the well-being of his people for personal gain. This was how people trusted and followed him. Michael laughed and told Lukwin that he was quite amazing, just as he expected from a leader. Michael thought that, as he had anticipated, Lukwin refused the proposal due to the nature of the second prince. He didn't believe the proposal would be accepted. He told Lukwin that if that was the case, he'd make a new proposal. Michael expressed hope that Earl Otis, who made a significant contribution as Adrian's superior during the war, would be appointed as a margrave, which surprised and confused Otis. Michael then addressed everyone and admitted that Adrian had made a great contribution to the war, but it was no exaggeration to say that about half of the credit belonged to Adrian's immediate superior Otis. Michael suggested this in response to the rather unreasonable marquisate proposal and as a way to overlook Margrave Raven's mistakes. Luk Win fell silent. The king intervened and put an end to their debate, making a decision. The king announced that they would accept the requests of Crown Prince Michael and Prince Luk Win, to which both princes thanked the king. A few days later, on the day of the victory celebration, Sylvia excitedly exclaimed that it was the place as she looked at the grand royal castle. She then asked Adrian if she looked weird and if her dress was too flashy. He reassured his mother not to worry about it and mentioned that there were probably many esteemed sons who would ask her for a dance. If they were the Lawrence Viscounts, the nobles began to surround them, congratulating them for seizing this opportunity. They asked Sylvia where she had purchased her jewels because they were as beautiful as her elegant dress, which suited her well. A man told Rayford that it had been a long time since he last met him and wondered if he might be interested in visiting their estate. The nobles surrounding them made him guess that the high-ranking nobles were aware of his marquis title. He was then shocked to notice Margrave Raven, who gazed at him with a dagger in his eyes. He suspected that Raven had been warned by Luk Win, who was discreetly keeping his distance. Later, the host announced that the victory celebration would commence, and the king proclaimed that Count Otis would be honored with the Order of the Golden Lion, the border city of Ort, and the appointment as a frontier margrave to IES. He was pleased to see that Earl Otis was also on the crown prince's side. However, he noticed Luk Win whispering something to the man beside him and guessed that the man next to Luk Win was undoubtedly the kingdom's most famous aura master, Marquis Vincent. He also observed that the aura masters in the country were very interested in ARA, but as expected, she didn't match the second prince. A moment later, the king summoned him and ARA to come forward and ordered them to kneel, which they did. The king announced that he was bestowing upon him the title of Marquis in the Marinkov area as his estate. ARA was granted the title of Countess in the Glendale area as her estate. Additionally, they were each given a fortified fortress. The king hoped they would do their best to protect their country. They both expressed their gratitude to the king, while the nobles whispered about Adrian's title's sudden elevation to Marquis and asked if there had ever been a case of someone becoming a Marquis so suddenly. The king inquired if he had anything to say. He then addressed the nobles, expressing his gratitude to the king, the heart and fair administration of the country, as well as the crown and second princes. He revealed that as a new aristocrat within his state, he had a wish to fulfill. He called Dodi, Parma, Karma, and Ronier and declared a cooperative effort to wage war on estates involving these four families. The king, the princes, and his parents were shocked and asked him to explain, but he simply smiled calmly. Chetvan Reinhardt, the king of the Reinhardt kingdom, had been growing increasingly concerned in recent days. His worry centered around the issue of selecting a successor, a decision divided between his two sons, Crown Prince Michael and Second Prince Luk Win. To compound his worries, a new eccentric individual had emerged in the country. A moment later, Luk Win angrily confronted him, stating that he must have misunderstood Marquis Lawrence's character. He had initially believed Lawrence to be a typical scholarly type, but was taken aback by his aggressiveness. Luk Win inquired if he was aware that a new lord couldn't expand his territory for 1 year. In response, Adrian mentioned that if that were the case, he would simply dismantle those four families and revert the territory to the royal decree. Luk Win asked if he had no intention of backing down, to which he firmly replied in the affirmative. Luk Win patted his shoulder, realizing that trying to dissuade him would be futile, and expressed his disappointment with his behavior. He suggested that they wait and see what unfolds. Adrian had expected such a reaction from Luk Win, but still wondered whether Luk Win would be successful in driving him out. They then left the room, and Adrian wondered if the real party had started. Aire appeared and informed him that she had been waiting for him. However, he noticed that people were avoiding him, and he realized that even before the event had begun. Everyone had exchanged greetings and expressed a desire to be friends. But now, no one was approaching them. He thought it seemed like he had been labeled as a troublemaker, and commented that it felt as though he had become the black sheep of the family. His father, Rayford, shouted at him, confirming his feelings. Adrian explained to his father that he had not initially planned to go to such extremes, but had been provoked, and he apologized to his father. Rayford asked him why he had done it, and he replied that it was for revenge, causing Rayford to touch his nose in frustration. Rayford then advised him that taking on 4 families simultaneously would undoubtedly be dangerous, and inquired if he had considered the risks when declaring a territory war. Adrian responded that he had been fully aware of the risks and reassured his father not to worry. Rayford sighed and expressed his trust in him. While his mother anxiously observed them, his father added that it had been a long time since he had attended a party hosted by the royal family, and he intended to enjoy it. Rayford addressed Sylvia, his wife, telling her not to worry and to have faith in their capable son. Sylvia nodded, and Sylvia accepted his hand, all while smiling, knowing that Rayford had been treading carefully around Anna all this time. But he was aware that he would now look after his mother just as diligently. He turned back to the nobles and asked if they should continue with what they were doing. Meanwhile, on the side, someone shouted that even territory wars should have valid reasons and asked if it made sense. Karma questioned if their actions were the reason, and Ronia replied that those were merely their childish actions from their youth. Suddenly, Parma inquired if they would lose, leaving everyone confused. However, Parma asked once again if they couldn't unite as the 4 families. When Adrian declared war, Ronia acknowledged that it was true, but their opponent was a marquis. Parma suggested they calm down first, emphasizing that although they were smaller in comparison to Isabella, they were a noble family with a VI county. Combining the strength of these 4 families should be sufficient to deal with a newly appointed marquis. Doi panicked and asked if that was the case. Ronier explained to Parma that it was true. With their 4 families uniting, their combined power would be greater than that of a viscount, but less than that of a margrave. Karma exclaimed that it sounded entirely plausible. However, Adrian suddenly appeared behind her, energetically greeting them, leaving them shocked and calling his name. He questioned how they dared to address the Marquis by his name in such a casual manner. Parma shouted back, telling him not to make him laugh and asking if he thought they would respect him after he had declared the territory war. Adrian removed his gloves, declaring that he would make them respect him, and tossed his gloves at Parma's face. He challenged Parma to a duel, but someone behind him informed him that he was not allowed to participate in that duel. The man, along with 3 others, told him that he had provoked them first and explained that given the significant differences between the 2 parties, a duel could not be sanctioned under national law. Adrian smiled, acknowledging their quick response, and mentioned that it was unfortunate because if they had let him behead young Master Parma, he would have spared them from. He could inquire about the details from his son Parma. He then informed them that the announcement letter of the territory war should arrive within a week. Unless they wished to have their family suffer because of their foolish son, he suggested they arrest that guy and bring him before him. The man asked if he was telling him to sell his son off, and told him that he keeps crossing the line. But he just peeked while asking if it is so. Then he saw Isabella hiding behind in fear. He walked away, telling them that they'll see them on the battlefield. Karma fearfully called his father, but his father just told him that they should go back and talk. Karma was shocked to see someone and called Isabella, who was hiding behind and shaking in fear. Karma asked her why she only appeared now, and Parma begged her to speak to his father. But she was lost in her thoughts, wondering what in the world is going on. Meanwhile, on social media, the news wrote that the new Marquis Adrian Lawrence declared a territory war against the 4 VI counties as soon as he was given the title. The new Marquis's fighting spirit embarrassed even His Majesty the King, leading to the question of why Marquis Lawrence took such action, ruining the atmosphere of the commemorative event. Marquis Lawrence's ill-fated relationship with the 4 families dates back to his school days. Then he read the comments saying that he was a victim of school violence and group bullying. Someone replied that it was severe to the point that there wasn't a day he walked around without injury. The commenter replied that he heard he was from a noble family, so he wondered why he was so pitiful. Someone replied that he was only a noble on paper, but has lived a life worse than a commoner. Also, he suffered an assassination attempt at home and was bullied and violently assaulted at school. So he respected him for becoming an archmage under those circumstances, making him realize that there was no secret in that current world, and it revealed itself without him having to leak it to the media himself. Also, with it, there wouldn't be any problem with the justifications of the territory war. But that situation aside, he couldn't believe that so many people were rooting for him even when he induced that situation, which is so touching for him. But then a man called him, making him snap, and asked the man what he was saying. The man replied that they were informing him of the specifications of the Sky Fortress that could be shipped immediately. Then the man gave him a book and explained to him that it was the catalog of the Sky Fortress. He looked at it, thinking that as he expected, the Sky Fortress was really expensive. That was why they said they'd be dreaming of having one sky castle in the territory. He knows that people look at him and say that he's reckless. They also say it was illogical for him to engage in a territory war when they didn't yet have proper military power. But it was obvious that they were mistaken about something. If they ran out of military power, shouldn't they just buy some more to make up for it? Then he told the man that he'd buy everything. He knows that as of now, he has 48 trillion in cash. If he together the property confiscated from the vassals belonging to the Margrave Raven faction, including Anna and Cedric, and their family's assets, the amount easily adds up to 70 trillion. Additionally, if he adds installments based on his credit rating, the man told him that the transaction amount is so large that half of the selling price must be paid in advance. He tells the man that he paid a lot of taxes recently and asks if he can get some tax exemption while ARA next to him is just thinking about cake. The man shook his hand and thanked him for his purchase. He smiled, knowing that even if he had just bought 8 sky fortresses, he still had 20 trillion in change. He thought it was too big of a deal that it didn't feel real. Even if he excludes the prepayment, he'll be paying a whopping 50 trillion in installments. But then Otis saw them, and he was surprised to see Otis too. He excitedly calls Otis a Margrave, and Otis excitedly calls him Marquis. He tells Otis to speak comfortably and asks him if they aren't going to the battlefield together. But Otis tells him that he is the Marquis and asks if he may do it. He tells Otis that he can't if he was Earl Otis, but he can if he was Margrave Otis, making Otis laugh hard. But then Otis remembers something and asks him what the meaning is he is coming there. Then he replied that he just purchased all the sky fortresses, making Otis shout that as he expected. Otis tells him that he has no other choice but to make a reservation, but he expects it to, because now that Otis has become Margrave, military power restrictions have been lifted to the level of a marquis, and Otis must be there to try to buy additional sky fortresses. Then he asked him if it was his first time seeing her and introduced his daughter that he was talking about, making him remember that she was the famous one for being a lunatic. Michelle gracefully introduced herself to Adrian and smiled at them like a shining blue rose. He greeted her back and introduced his fiancée ARA to Michelle, to which ARA bowed gracefully while he was confused because according to the rumors, Michelle is a psycho with a bad reputation. But she doesn't look like one at all. Then he sees her status that her talents are exploration, which is very high, learning power and intellectual ability, which are high. Her traits are English and interpretation and reasoning ability. Her relationships are interested and neutral, and her current status is favor and fascinated. But then he was shocked to see one of her talents and read it over and over again in shock, wondering what it was and if it was the English that he knows of. Then Otis tells him that until recently, Michelle was working hard to find Archduke Lucas's fate. However, as he may know too, it appeared in the Prius Republic, so Michelle has been falling into despair because of it, and he has been dragging her around with him here and there himself. Michelle kicks her father's foot while reminding her father that she told him the fate in the Prius Republic is fake. Adrian couldn't believe that the one looking for Archduke Lucas's fate had an English interpretation, making him realize that if he didn't have the cheat key of being born on Earth, Michelle might have been the one to get her hands on fate instead of him. He tells Michelle that it was interesting that she thinks the fate found in the Prius Republic was fake. She explained to him that the fate exists, but it was hidden in a location that no one knows, and it was not something. If she should kill Michelle, and he replies no, telling ARA that they should watch over Michelle for a bit longer. He looks at Michelle Otis, who is excitedly telling her dad that she has followed Adrian. He knows that he'll need to watch over Michelle for a bit more.